Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Ambassador's Lounge. The focus of our discussion today is the situation in Israel, particularly with reference to two things, that is the political instability in Israel and the provocation of Palestinians, the situation in Al-Aqsa. As you all remember, last week, in fact, Israeli forces, defense forces, the security forces, they entered Al-Aqsa and they attacked the Muslims who were praying there. This was followed by a barrage of missile attacks from southern Lebanon and Gaza, and of course then Israel retaliated. The situation has calmed down at the moment, but the tempers are high. How is this situation, how will this situation develop? This is something which we are going to discuss. I have with me today Ambassador Asif Durrani and Ambassador Riaz Bukhari. Asif, let me start with you. Last December, Mr. Netanyahu came to power for the sixth time. Now, he is the longest serving Israeli Prime Minister. Since then, two things have happened. One is the political instability which we are seeing because of his efforts to reform the judiciary. And second is the provocation of the Palestinians. Now, what I want to know is, why is it that Mr. Netanyahu has squandered the political gains of these elections?
Thank you, Imran. As you are aware that it's a coalition government again.
Yeah.
And Netanyahu does not have even simple majority. So, and he is a partner with ultra-right, which also include, they occupy important ministries like security ministry, defense ministry.
Exactly.
And then they are also, those ultra-right parties are promoting their own agenda. So here Netanyahu is faced with the dilemma that how to deliver, and then one-upmanship is also quite visible as far as the Israeli media is concerned, when you look at Haaretz and other newspapers like that. So it's full of, those newspapers are full of commentaries that it is actually the race within. When they say race within, it means within the right, Israeli right, and whether it's ultra-orthodox right or middle-of-the-road right, they are doing. And Netanyahu, in fact, he's also famous for creating controversies in his previous tenures also. And just see, and it is quite mind-boggling that a man who is facing corruption charges can become again a prime minister. And he's doing that prosecution. And then, in order to suppress it, he is trying, in fact, to clip the wings of the judiciary. So sometimes
why is this?
It looks familiar. It looks familiar. In fact, we are also facing the same circus here in Pakistan.
Yeah, I agree with Asif. It looks like to be same pitch where the two countries are playing. Judiciary against the parliament, parliament against the judiciary. Obviously, the government wants to expand its space in governing the country the way they want to go.
But for Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, the issue is either he stays in power or he goes to the jail.
Obviously, he is facing corruption charges,
and
he's
lot
being
of
tried.
His members of his cabinet.
And he wants to take away some of the powers of the judiciary, like reducing the age of retirement. If they succeed, they immediately get 4 seats vacant in the Supreme Court
for
of
the senior
Israel.
judges.
Yeah. So the government then can appoint.
And I think same is happening in Pakistan.
This is what our government is trying to do in Pakistan.
Parliament is in fact being encouraged to look into the ages of our judges. What a similarity.
Well, that's, I don't think this is something to be, we should be proud or we should be
not
happy
at all, you know.
No, it is
to
not.
see what is happening.
But at least you can
But-
find
but-
I'm
similarities.
wearing a sarcastic smile.
I can see that. But what I would like to know is that Mr. Netanyahu is a very experienced politician,
Yeah.
15 years in power. How is it that he has squandered this goodwill? I mean, Asif said that he was under pressure from the right wing, the
Rightist,
ultra-nationalist religious parties to deliver what he had promised to them.
Yeah, obviously, you know, he has formed a coalition with extremists, right-wing extremists, and they would like to, you know, implement their own, you know, manifesto. And they should be honest with the commitment they have made with the people of Israel. Why we should be criticizing them? The issue is the outside powers. They are not using their influence on the government of Israel.
Riaz, we'll come to
fair.
this. We'll come to this. Let's first deal with this thing. So, what we agree now is that the present political instability is because of the pressure of the ultra-rightists
Yes.
to deliver what Mr.
In this,
Netanyahu. Yes.
Imran, my worry is that in order to, in fact, release the pressure, Netanyahu may take certain steps against the Palestinians.
My question next to you would have been the same.
Yes. And this has happened also in the past. And then they are already going for further salami tactics. So now this time I think they'll do some mischief in Al-Quds, in Jerusalem, whereby they may perhaps force the Palestinians to vacate their quarters, their land. And this is what has been happening. And then what I fear is that perhaps it may also lead to another bout of Intifada.
You will come to that. Now, in West Bank, Riaz, in West Bank, the Israeli government, immediately after coming into power, the Netanyahu administration, they legalized retrospectively the illegal constructions. They also authorized expeditious construction of 10,000 more units. So what they're doing is they are gradually, as Asif said, they are pushing the Palestinians out of the West Bank. Similarly, this is what they are doing in East Jerusalem.
This is the same pattern which Mr. Netanyahu has been following for the last so many years. He has been Prime Minister for 6 times already. And, you know, every time he has to increase the settlement of, you know, Jews in the West Bank. They have constructed new houses and never demolished them. Maybe for some face saving, they have demolished 10 houses.
They did in Gaza.
For maybe 10, 20 houses, that's it. They have always, there has been a pattern of increasing the construction of new houses, despite criticism from, you know, UN, from the OIC, from the Muslim countries, from the Arab countries, and some of the Western countries as well. Because nobody has used its influence correctly to dictate Israelis to withdraw the settlements right away. They have never done that. And I believe that whether there is, you know, rightist parties or coalition partners or not, Mr. Netanyahu will continue to expand the settlement, whatever cost they may face.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is my
Imran,
view.
if I may add into
Yes,
it.
please.
This is what, in fact, when I said that they want to push the Palestinians out of Jerusalem, reason is that in the vicinity of Al-Aqsa Mosque, there's a substantive Muslim population. And this part of the year, when as Jews have their Passover,
Yeah.
Muslims have their Ramadan,
Christians
and
have
Christians have their Good Friday.
yeah. Holy Flame, Easter, yeah.
So here you see concentration of all the 3 religions and its followers. So you see, in fact, this Al-Quds area is massively, in fact, populated.
Exactly.
and they perform their rituals.
Religions, yes.
At times, those rituals are actually provocative, or they raise provocations.
Asif, just the same thing what you have said. The Christians, the religious heads, the head of the Greek church and the Armenian church, they have complained that the Israelis are preventing the Christians from performing their religious event. Now, Israel Finance Minister, Mr. Smotrich, he says that there is no such thing as Palestinian people, no Palestinian history or culture. He is the person who is on record stating that the whole village of Hawara should be demolished. And then Itamar Ben Gavir, their Minister for National Security, he has been
Extremists.
he's an extremist. And Ehud Olmert, the former
Prime Minister.
he said that Ben Gavir is a more imminent danger to Israel than a nuclear armed Iran.
Correct.
And he went on to say that this gentleman Ben Gavir says, I am happy to be a fascist.
I mean, you are right.
Now,
If you-
with these people in the government, how can the world expect
Imran,
some
don't
sort
go
of
far away. We have Hindutva dispensation
Yes.
next door. And they are implementing
Absolutely.
Sarwarkar's
Exactly.
ideology, which says that minorities have to be Hinduized and they can assert for
whether
no rights.
Muslims or Hindus
They
or
can
also
assert
Hindus
no
or
rights.
Christians.
Yes,
Yeah.
if they have to live in India. So here, one Ben Gavir is telling the world or to the Palestinians, he's not telling
And
different.
interestingly, Asif, interestingly, when he was being sworn in as the Minister for National Security, his sworn-in ceremony coincided with the National Day celebration of UAE. And the UAE ambassador invited him to that,
As a chief guest?
to that function. He is a sworn anti-Arab. Now, connecting this thing to my next question, Asif, Mr. Netanyahu has always claimed that Abraham Accords was his main diplomatic achievement. He has boasted about it.
Correct.
And during the election campaign, he promised that he will build on it, which means that the Abraham Accords will extend further to other countries, and he is particularly interested in getting Saudi Arabia on board. Now, with this situation, I do not understand how would he be able. I mean, he provoking the Palestinians, not only the Palestinians, he's provoking the whole Muslims with what is happening in Al-Aqsa. I think Al-Aqsa is going to be the red line of the Muslims. Do you think that this Abraham Accords will further progress? Do you think Saudi Arabia was correct in not becoming a part of this thing? And same thing for Qatar.
Yeah, it's when you want to discuss the Arab politics towards Israel, then it is full of complexities, and they will go according to the evolving situation. Saudis, we all were discussing, and there were commentaries that it is just a matter of time that Saudis would recognize Israel, but it has not happened. In fact, it has happened to the contrary, that Saudis have strongly condemned Israeli actions, and they are likely to do so. And at the same time, if you recall that there are also talk in Pakistan and then some circles that is it the high time that we should recognize. So whatever action Israeli governments or for that matter Netanyahu takes since he is in power, if it is anti-Palestinian, so it will push the recognition case further away. But if he takes positive results, then yes, Abraham Accords can be
But as if
expanded.
Mr. Netanyahu has stated that, in fact, the government has stated that two-nation state, that policy is dead. There is no such thing.
This is
nothing
the
of
idea.
this sort will happen.
This is
They
the
have
idea.
been very categorical on this thing.
This is the idea.
First, there was rhetorical acceptance. Now, even that is finished.
And now, since they are in coalition with the extra right, ultra right, so I think this ideology will gain further momentum. That rather than going for two-state solution, they will in fact assimilate.
Three-state.
They will assimilate Palestine and offer this as a fait accompli to the world.
I would add over here that the people of State of Israel, I think they are quite clever people. Whenever there is, they want to give an impression to the world community that Israel is there to, accommodate the Palestinians, they form a coalition government consisting of liberal, secular, this and that. And whenever they want to stop short of doing anything, they form a government consisting of extremists, fundamentalists,
But,
they have.
there is a strong opposition to the present government.
Does it make any difference? Does it
We are
make
seeing,
the life of
the situation is
Palestinians much more better?
It is, I think, too early.
Yeah, exactly.
to
That's what I'm
infer.
saying. It's
It is too early
the
to
situation is unfolding. There's nothing.
Yes.
Now, I want to stick to this point. This movement. I mean, can we call it civil disobedience?
No, I don't think it is a
No, I
civil
think it is
disobedience. No, no.
agitation.
It's an
I mean,
agitation.
just a demonstration.
Now,
People are coming out.
This demonstration is being carried out by leftists and centrists.
Yeah.
And their claim is that they are there to protect the democracy of Israel. Now, in this whole game, you're talking about people of Israel, they're very clever, intelligent,
Yeah,
educated.
I-
And this movement is being carried out by educated and the secularists. But there is no mention of the rights of the
of
Palestinians.
Palestinians, yes.
Imran,
that is the
let
key.
me add here that had secularists been so influential, so powerful, so they would have won the elections. Right now, they have to face the fait accompli because the overwhelming or majority of the Israelis, they voted for the far right.
Why is this change? Why is this change?
Well, this is how the people have been poisoned. This is how hatred and this is how you can say fascism had spread in the world in the past.
Mr. Netanyahu has been prime minister for 6 times.
Yeah.
Every time, whenever he is in power, he has increased the number of settlements, despite UN resolutions, despite demands from the EU or other European countries. He has not listened to them. And again, he is coming back as the prime minister, forming coalition sometime with the liberals, sometime with the secular.
No, he never formed coalition with the liberals, did he? I don't think.
I mean, no, some segment of those parties have always supported Mr. Netanyahu in different government, but this time it is the extremist, the element which is forming a coalition government with Mr. Netanyahu. So, what is their manifesto? What is their agenda? The agenda is to keep Palestinians where they are. They are supposed to do anything better for the Palestinians. When you are talking about the democracy or democratic, culture, it is only for the state of Israel
Correct.
and their people, not Palestinians. We should be, we should
have-
always make distinction in.
We should have no illusions.
Exactly.
So is the path being laid for third intifada?
Maybe, obviously there is a limit. Maybe time will come that the Palestinians will again come back on the roads.
The Palestinians have to rise to make themselves visible.
They have to sacrifice more. But the question is how long they should continue to sacrifice. Huge Muslim population in the world, big money, and they have recognized is the state of Israel. What they have done? What was the bargaining? Our impression was after recognition of the state of Israel by certain Muslim countries, at least there will be some incremental improvement in the lives of the Palestinians.
That's what was promised in the Negev process.
And they have always promised, but never delivered
Yes.
on the promises. That is the issue.
As if there is third intifada, where will the Arab world stand?
Well, like in the past, I don't see any.
But this time the intifada would be completely different because now you have a new generation, younger generation, who have not seen the likes of Yasser Arafat.
The issue
They have
is how long they should continue to sacrifice, like the people of Indian occupied Kashmir. Should they continue to sacrifice? How long?
Asif?
I think movements like this, in fact, continue to simmer. And whether they come to fruition, if they are persistent, they do. But right now, if you look at it, unfortunately, the Palestinians inside occupied Palestine are divided, whether it is Al-Fatah or whether it is Islamic Jihad or Hamas. They have their own islands where to defend, and then they have their own influence. So the younger generation which you are talking about is being brought up in this
Yes,
environment.
they are disillusioned.
In this environment,
Yes.
and which is causing disillusionment also. And then that forces the Palestinian young generation to see what is their identity. Would they be better off even if they are a second-rate citizens of Israel, or would they be better off if they are independent? For independence, because of the lack of unity, I don't see light at the end
Lack
of the
of
tunnel.
unity, plus there is asymmetry in the power.
Yeah.
On one side there is
Correct.
a state with all its power, on the other side there are
But
good.
Imran, this statelessness and powerlessness, in fact, had its impact when previous two intifadas.
Intifadas took place.
It did shake the Israeli
It did.
state power.
It did.
And the world as well.
Yes.
The world was there.
Yes.
And this time, I think one of the reasons why the tensions have calmed down is that Mr. Netanyahu does not want Hezbollah or these parties to become aggressive.
I only hope that the states, the Muslim states which have recognized the state of Israel, they should play some role now.
Do you think they have influence?
They should.
They
Why
should.
not?
If they have recognized, they have
They should.
contacts, they have relationship, they are meeting, they are doing business, they are doing trade. So I think it should have an impact.
What is the future? What role do you see? Any role for Pakistan?
We have issued a statement.
Of course, a lot of countries have issued the statement. Let's
Why
come out of that.
why you are undermining our
No,
statement?
the statements. What can be our policy?
No, Imran, if I may say, we can play no role.
Absolutely right.
Because we have no contact with Israel.
Absolutely correct.
And in the Islamic world, yes, they will issue the ritualistic statements at the OIC platform.
Yeah.
Arab League perhaps may also issue some statement. But if it comes to imposing sanctions on Israel, I have my doubts. Even if those states who have not recognized Israel, they would also not issue any kind of sanctions or impose any sanctions.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, Amnesty International, in its report for the year 2022, for the first time condemned, and I quote, the government of apartheid in Israel. Now, this is for the first time that this terminology is being used by the international organizations. This reflects the state of the government of Israel, what it is doing to the people of Palestine, the Palestinians, how their rights are being usurped, how they are being oppressed. The international media, particularly the European media, when they refer to this conflict, they describe it as scuffles between two parties without realizing that there is one oppressor, there is a state which is oppressing, which is oppressing and violating the rights of the Palestinians. The international community has to realize that there is a limit, and the people of Palestine, they are also fed up. The youth is fed up, and the path is being laid for what can be called as the third Intifada, which would not be good for the peace in the region and which would definitely not be good for Israel. Thank you for watching us. Good night.